Hello, everybody. Here we go, getting started. Welcome. I'm just a little bit early here to give everyone a chance to get their notifications, but welcome nevertheless. This should be pretty fun. I'm very excited. I have not been able to do lives very much this week. I've just been a bit under the weather, so I'm so excited that I'm able to come in and do a live tonight. So welcome. Hello, welcome in. I had set the time for tonight to be 7 o'clock, so I'm just a little bit early, hoping to catch everybody, making sure that everyone's getting their notifications. But welcome in. This should be a pretty fun live tonight. I'm very excited. I just started like 30 seconds ago, bro fam. Just 30 seconds ago. So it takes a little bit of time to get people in, notifications to go on and such, but this has been planned out. I usually go live about this time on Sundays, although again, I'm a little bit early tonight just to get those notifications going. But welcome on in. I'm hoping everybody has had a good Sunday, hopefully. There we go. I have put my notifications up on TikTok as I make my transition here from TikTok to the YouTube. It is quite the change. There is quite a bit of a difference between those two social media platforms for sure. Hello, Achilles. Hello, good to see you. I'm early tonight, so I'm trying to make sure people get their notifications. Sometimes it seems like it's being a little different. Sometimes the notifications come in okay and sometimes they don't. So I thought, well, we'll just go on a little bit early tonight. We're doing the Closet Docket. So I'm very excited. I've missed going live this past week. I've missed it so much. I've just been a bit under the weather. But tonight I'm going to be going through all of the lawsuits involving Mr. Trump. Well, his administration. So the lawsuits where the Department of Justice is defending him and his administration. So we are at 151, although I think technically we might be at 153, but I've got it written down as 151. 151, that's a lot. That's unusual. That's an unusually high number of lawsuits to just be a couple months into a presidential administration. So very unusual to have this many, but most of these lawsuits are executive orders that are being questioned as unconstitutional, unlawful firings, unlawful access to private information, unlawful creation of DOGE. So there's a lot here. There's a lot of different things that they are suing about. Subscribed. Oh, thanks, Kaden. Well, welcome in. So I have, again, I'm just gonna wait a couple more minutes. I've got us set to actually go at 7 tonight. So I'm just kind of chatting a little bit here to get everyone a chance to get their notifications. Hello, Willie B. Happy Sunday. My goodness, I have missed being live. I was supposed to be going live Tuesdays and Thursdays and Sundays, but Tuesday and Thursday I had to cancel. So I am very happy that I can come on tonight. And I'm hoping to be able to go live a few more times this week. So as I'm making this transition over here to the tube from the talk, and I think it was just in time because that ship's sinking, everyone. That ship's going down. It's going down. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, I appreciate that. Yes. I was on Hawk and Falcons live, their YouTube live on Wednesday. I love that they're going every Wednesday. I think that's great. I myself need a better schedule. I'm still going to try the, I just got started. We're just chatting, upgrade. I'm going to really try to keep that Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday schedule. So I might be doing some in addition to that, but Yes, so I'm very, very happy that they're doing Wednesday nights, and that was just a lot of fun to go and hang out with those fellas and chit chat. So, but we're more structured over here than they are, but that's okay. I think sometimes we just need to, just have some fun. Have some fun. So right now I'm just gonna kind of do a just a chit chat here for a few more minutes until everyone comes over. I'm gonna do a top. Yeah, that'd be great. Notifications didn't work tonight. Yeah, that's what I was wondering, Willie B. That's why I wanted to come on a little early. I wasn't sure if the notifications were working, but yeah, that'd be great. I tell you what, my posts, I think the last post I did, I think it took like 2 hours before I got 100 views. And, I don't count the views other than to see whether or not my content's getting out to people. And it's just not. So it's that ship's sinking, unfortunately. So it's better to catch me over here. Yikes. Don't get me wrong. I'm still over on the talk. I'm hoping before it completely goes down, I'll hit 120,000 followers. But, it's all right. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's not a big deal either way. But yeah, we gotta be careful right now. We've got a lot of people who are getting pushed off and moving. So, yeah. I think Sundays will be the perfect night, though, for us to catch up on all of the lawsuits against the Trump administration. So, and since we are on YouTube instead of TikTok, I can say Trump. So these are lawsuits against Mr. Trump and his choices and his questionable choices. And we'll be working on those on Sunday nights. I think that works out nice. So many people. I agree. I know, Achilles. I tell you what, I'm not huge into views. I don't really care what the numbers are, other than I feel like people aren't really getting the content. So it's time. It's definitely time. My biggest sadness, though, honestly, we had so much fun on TikTok. There's a lot of things I'm gonna miss, but I'm really gonna miss Legal Dad. He has said he is not gonna make the move, so that's been the big one. I just feel kind of sad about that. Hello, Bruce Wayne's mother. William, hello. How are you? Hopefully you're having a good Sunday. Welcome in, everyone. I'm just getting started. I'm just kind of rambling here for a few minutes until everyone gets their notifications here. Sunday's going to be our Closet Docket update night. And we've got some updates, actually. We've got some pretty big ones. A few new categories and some Circuit Court of Appeals decisions as well. So fun updates, at least fun for me. I don't know about anybody else. I've said this a million times, everyone. If I wasn't live streaming, I'd just be sitting here talking to myself. I'd just be talking to myself. My family would be like, what do you say? Like, nothing. I'm talking to the chat. So, Deadman, hello. Welcome. Yeah, so what I have here is I've set up the lawsuits that have been filed against Mr. Trump. So these are lawsuits regarding his executive orders, different executive actions, terminations, and so on. So any of the lawsuits that have been filed after he was sworn in and started, doing stuff. So we're at 151 right now. And I just go through each of the lawsuits and give everybody a really quick update on where the case is. And some have gone all the way up to the Supreme Court. Others have restraining orders. Some have injunctions on them. We've got some habeas corpus cases, some frozen funds cases, and that. I'm not really going to spin this politically one way or the other. I try to just kind of keep it to the legal questions, because honestly, for a lot of these, I really don't have a position one way or the other. I'm, just waiting like everyone else to see what the courts will decide, and then that will be what the rule is. So however it turns out is just fine. Although there are a few where it's pretty, I can't walk just a straight line on a few of these, because that's just against my oath. There are just some plain constitutional law issues going on. But for everything else, yeah, I'm just kind of waiting to see what the courts will say here and which cases they will decide to take and which ones they won't. There are going to be a few. We've got, I think we just had two more. They're not writs of cert. They're two more motions, I guess, for reconsideration that have gone up to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has not decided whether or not they will hear them or not, although I have a feeling they'll probably decide within the next couple of days. So we'll probably be hearing about that very soon. We have a couple of those, but they're not cert, so we'll see. Good evening. Hello, hello. Really, for it to show. Okay, I'm glad you told me, Kaya. That's good to know. For really, yeah, there's something going on over on the talk for sure, for sure. I believe it. Hello, Cynthia. Welcome in, welcome in. Yeah, it's been kind of it's been touchy. So I've been getting some very odd notes. So for me, I'm like, well, I gotta go. I'm not looking for trouble. I'm just trying to share information. So there's plenty of places to do that. The big thing, everyone, is I'm really trying to figure out the Substack. I really feel like Substack is the closest to TikTok, really, but I'm still kind of figuring out, how it works and stuff. Somebody's like restacking my stack, and I think that means forwarding it, I guess. And I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the lingo, everyone. I'm a little bit behind, but I'll work on it. I'll have to have VC give me a little bit of a uh, a little bit of a heads up on that. Hello, Alice in Wonderland. What's up with the witch case, Max? Substack's great if you can figure it out. Oh my gosh, exactly. Yeah, I think it's reposting. I heard creators get like 86% of the money. Yeah, oh my gosh, it's just not even in the same category. YouTube versus TikTok as far as cash goes, and then Substack versus Patreon is pretty much the same. Jeffrey Epstein, yeah, I'm not sure exactly what your question is. We've had some things going on, but we've had a lot of his information that's been made public. But as far as lawsuits go, I don't know exactly which one you're talking about. So I don't know. I really don't know what's going on with that, with her either. Yeah. So yeah, last I heard his cohorts all, yeah, paid subscribers, exactly. Her cohorts are being pulled in and questioned, but other than that, I don't have anything else. Oh, hello. Oh, no. Oh, Kristen. Hello, Jaja. Good to see you. Welcome. Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think most people have been watching the Sean Combs case. That's kind of like the Epstein of today. So that's really more it. I have no idea, Max. I don't talk about really world politics, particularly any of that stuff. So, yep. Sorry for Juneteenth. I think a bar crawl for any day is okay. Oh, we've hidden Max. Bye, Max. See you later. Off you go. Good call, Sarah. No problem. Oh my goodness. Oh, the moderators. I've missed you all, everyone. I had to cancel a couple of lives this week, so I'm so glad I could come back on tonight and get us started. I'm really, really hoping here that we can do the Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday this week. Fingers crossed. We've got a lot of stuff going on. We have so many things going on right now, so I'll definitely be doing that. I may be doing some, yeah, he was getting a bit odd. I may be doing some noontime ones, everyone. What do we think about that? Some lunch and learns. I had been doing that over on the talk, but I think I'm going to start doing it over here since I'm making my move over here. Is that like 12 o'clock Central? Is that going to be okay for people? And I will probably start that tomorrow. So just to give you a heads up. Hello, Laura. Hello. 86 Judge. All right. Good to know. Good to know. I did a kind of like a goodbye post, but I'm still posting a little bit. You go live 12 to 2 Eastern. Okay, okay. I gotcha. I gotcha. So I think 12 to 2 Eastern. Right. Yeah, I'll figure out a zone in there too. I usually don't go very long, so but they should get the opportunity. Well, Zachary, I think, oh my gosh, Sarah. Yay! Every year for all 7 days. Oh, Steve Bano, are you a racist? Are you? Is that why you're here? Is that what you're talking about? I think Steve Bano's our racist, everybody. We might have our clan guy for tonight. We usually get a clan. We usually get a schmatzy in here. So there we go. Okay, works perfect. All right. That sounds good. You're too fast. No, I love it. I love it. Yeah, I mean, we just got to keep our eyes out. Got it. Okay, and I just love it. Every once in a while, I'll flip through and I don't want to interrupt, but I'm like, oh, she's on again. Yay. Well, no worries. No worries. I will be going in the evenings on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Sundays. So I'll be in the evening, 7 o'clock Central. And I will try to do some lunches this week. So they're not as bad as the talk. True story, Kristen. True. I like the evening ones. Excellent, excellent. Oh yeah, I will. I'll have to swing by. I just don't want to interrupt. Sometimes I feel like I interrupt when I swing by. I'm like, I just want to watch too, watch and learn and listen. So I will see what I can do. Oh my gosh! And Scott who does the wonderful lives in the mornings, he had been, but he had been suspended for a week. So Scott, he had asked if I would come and join him this next week, and I said, of course. So we'll have to work out a time to do that. Well, we hit 7 o'clock, everybody. Scott Johnson, thank you so much. Kay, exactly. The last name. Oh, he is sweet. I tell you, I don't know how long I've been following him. It's got to be months and months and months and months. But he's just the sweetest guy. And I just love talking to him because he has a great analysis to go through. And so it's always like, interesting, interesting. Mod heavy for him. Yeah, yeah. And I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. We got 151 cases. Oh my goodness gracious, it's a lot. It's a lot, it's a lot. So welcome in tonight. Sundays, we're gonna do the Closet Docket update. This is my closet, so you'll hear me walking around on my wooden floor here, but hopefully the lighting's a little bit better. And I even have started my husband's closet. Oh my gosh. Yep, yep. So what I would like to do is just take everyone through the cases. I do this about once a week and give you an update about what's going on. So hello, Desert Skies. Welcome. I've got a couple new categories here and a couple of pretty significant decisions that have come down already. So I'll just take you through all of those. But we've got a lot. We've got a lot going on. So welcome in. Let me see if I can get my, all right, I've been moving things around here so I could get everything sorted. There we go. Sorry, everybody. I'll try to not move so quick because I know that it's like slow the camera down. All right, here we go. So let's get started. You had invaded that closet. I have. I really have. I mean, I have a couple poster boards, but yeah, and he told me to. He was like, he wants to contribute. He wants to help. But he's a scientist, so his brain works very differently than mine. And so he's like, how can I help? I don't know. I'm like, oh, I'll just take your closet. And he's like, please. I thought that was really sweet of him. All right, so welcome. Here we go. This is just for people who are wondering, my pointer stick. This is a ring size gauge here. For anyone who's wondering, you just stick your ring on here and then it'll show you what size your ring is. All right, so it's what I've got for my little pointy thing here. He's a green flag. He is a green flag. Oh my gosh, he really is. Yeah, he's a sweetie. He's a sweetie. Except for when he's not. So there's that. So I've got my pointer stick, and let me give you an overview on how I have broken up the cases, everybody, and then I'll come through and start the cases. So I have, these are all lawsuits that have been filed. I've not included any pro se lawsuits because I'm just not including them. I mean, we've got enough. We've really got enough already that the pro se ones I'm not really including in here. It'd be too much. It'd be a step too far, everybody. So here's how I've set it out. I have the DOGE lawsuits here. So any lawsuits against that, I don't know, are they calling it an official committee? I'm not sure what they're calling it, an official agency. They've got different names depending on what day it is. And Mr. Musk. So those lawsuits are here. Federal employee lawsuits here, where we've got a lot of terminations. Here's some Rockstar cases. I probably will be moving some more cases to the Rockstar cases area tonight and throughout this week. Sanction requests. We still have one case actively requesting sanctions against Trump here. We've got our class action lawsuit. We have a class being designated in the Gribben case and the El Salvador case. We have two big cases in the Court of Appeals, and I'll update you on that, where we've got decisions, actual decisions there. And then we have immigration lawsuits here. Birthright citizenship, terminating legal immigration. So actual legal immigration, like people who actually have legally immigrated. ICE abuses and equal protection violations just with regards to immigration. So that's these lawsuits here. So let me see if I can bump my tripod down. Here we go. All right, back over here. What will happen with DOGE if once Elmo leaves in May? It's a great question, and I don't know. It looks like the whole goal was to try to put little tentacles into all of the different agencies. So like little mini DOGE offices in every agency with mini little little mini Musks, I guess. So we'll see if that tracks, if that happens. All right, down the middle, we have Department of Education lawsuits. There's 4 of them now. We have the NAACP very recently filed. So this is the dismantling of the Department of Education. So 4 lawsuits there. Habeas corpus here, along with the El Salvador situation. And we have First Amendment lawsuits, so freedom of speech, freedom of the press, because some of these habeas cases are brought because of First Amendment issues, is what they're claiming. So we've got quite a few here, and these are the ones where people are just getting yanked up the street. Quite disturbing, this batch. And then over here, I've got, let me see if I can move this one more thing down. There we go. Then we have civil rights violations regarding the DEIA, you know, the executive order doing away with all of the DEIA stuff. That's here. And then I'm gonna need a bigger stick, everybody. I'm gonna need more closet space and a bigger stick. And then just regular. These are just, oh my gosh, everyone, look at this. These are just trans cases. Every single one of these, 2, 4, 6, 8. We have 8, and then there's one that's a rock star. So 9, technically. We've got like 9 trans lawsuits. I mean, my goodness gracious, for such a very small percentage of people, there are a heck of a lot of lawsuits going on here. So, yikes. Yeah, it's a lot. Here are our FOIA requests. And again, this is just an overview. I'll take you through all of these cases and give you a heads up on that. But these are the FOIA filings. And then it really is Kaya. I agree completely. And then I've had to move our federal funding cases where the federal funds allocated by Congress here are being denied by by Trump. All right, so these are all of the lawsuits where they said, look, Congress gave us money and you're not giving it to us. This right here, you know, and I did a post on this. This is like that constitutional crisis issue that we're dealing with right here. And next, we have the revocations, rescissions, suspensions, and dismantling, including the U.S. aid situation here. So all of these are with regards to that. And then I had to pull one more board out for our U.S. Supreme Court cases. We have, let's see. All right, the Ninth Circuit appeals over here. And then we have a request to overturn a stay is here. So this isn't the cert one. And then we have these on the birthright citizenship. And they're asking for review of the temporary restraining order. All right, so that's the Supreme Court cases. And then just so that I remember, this is Chief Justice John Roberts' little saying that's like, well, if you don't like the judge, you can't just impeach them. You know, there's a process. So that's his little quote there. I feel like this could all point back. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on. And then up here, I just am starting the different tests that we're going to need. I thought this would be helpful, everyone, because we are doing so many preliminary injunctions. Like how do you get one? Well, these are the 4 parts of the test. And can you even bring a lawsuit? These are the 3 parts of the test. So we have tests in place for constitutional questions, for civil rights questions, for habeas questions. So as we go through the lawsuits, I thought I would just put the tests up here and then we can kind of look through them. So that way you have a good idea on what the actual law is here. Impeachment of the Supreme Court justices. I think it died in committee. At this point, I didn't see any kind of, sorry about that, everybody. We got knocked to the side. I didn't see any kind of vote, or I didn't see it even come out of committee. So I think it just died in committee. Sorry, everybody. I got to bump this back up again. I really got to figure out a better process here. Only the highest of qualities, everybody. But technically for Thomas and Alito, we did have those articles of impeachment, but it never went forward. So I accidentally bumped out of live. Oh, it's funny. Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, well, hello, blunt psychologist. Good to see you. Yeah, tea time for sure. I'm telling you, a library ladder. Oh my gosh, I totally need that. I really do. It's a true story there. All right, so I've got some seasonal allergies going on, so I apologize ahead of time. We've had the heater and the air conditioner turned back on, so it always goes out there. Need another closet. Oh, I know. Oh my gosh, everybody. Oh my goodness. All right, so just so that you know what my keys are, in case you're wondering, the keys up here are for if we have a temporary restraining order or an injunction, it's going to have a flag. And then we have 2 appeals, right? We have the first appeal goes to the Court of Appeals, and then these are the different flags. The second appeal then will go up to the U.S. Supreme Court. All right, so we get 3 bites basically here. So when we're looking at these are all filed in district court, in federal district court, and that means you appeal it to the circuit court, and then after that it goes up to the Supreme Court. So just kind of keep that in mind. Yellow pollen stage. Oh, I know, right? Ugh, I know, it's a lot. All right, so hello, Annette. Good to see you. Welcome. Let's go ahead then and get started over here, everybody. Let me make sure. There we go. So as a quick side note, literally, look at this, everybody. See, side note. I have, I can't help myself. It's funny to me. This is a lawsuit that was filed against Mr. Musk himself in 2022. And this was brought by Oklahoma firefighters group. and they were accusing him of some securities frauds. I know, right? So thanks, David. I needed that. I needed that affirmation desperately. So they had said, hey, with this $1 million giving to voters situation, we think there's some security fraud going on here. This is a different situation than the $1 million to vote. This is different, but they wanted to sue him over that for the information. Hold on, let me back the bus up. This is the Twitter case. All right, let me back it up. So there's like millions of dollars involved. I know, we're shocked, right? So he had filed a motion to dismiss in 2022, and just on the 28th, so just 2 days ago, the court denied the motion to dismiss and it can go forward. So we are actually going to see a fully fledged securities fraud regarding Twitter case going forward. So this is not regarding the administration, but it is regarding Mr. Musk. He's in trouble. One of the things that I thought, one of my favorite things that I ever heard Michelle Obama say that I just really took to heart was when she said, when you become the president of the United States, all of those people around you and you yourself, there's like a big, bright light that's shining on you now. And, there's no way to escape it. And Mr. Musk is in that light now. So all of this information is going to come out. Before, you could kind of get under the radar here and there, but now, no, those days are over for him. All right, so let's get started over on the DOGE cases. Here we go. All right, here we are back. Creaky floor. All right, so this is very controversial, this whole situation involving the DOGE. So we have a lot of lawsuits. We've got the first one here is Alliance for Retired Americans. And they were, of course, the issue was they are saying privacy issues. We do have a temporary restraining order and a preliminary injunction in place while they figure out the appeal. There's a motion for a summary judgment that's been put into the mix. That's kind of a new thing that we're going to start seeing. We're going to start seeing motions for summary judgment. Does everyone know what a motion for a summary judgment is? I'm just curious. I'm just polling the chat here without the poll, without the fancy poll here. Do we know? Do we know what it is? Motion for summary judgment. No. Okay. So let me explain real quick. Okay. No. Yes. No. Snappy, good to see you. Welcome in. Okay. So, all right. So motion for summary judgment basically means that, let me get my stick out here because I'm waving it around. When you think all of the information that you've given the judge in the complaint and the answer, everything that's just been in front of the judge before anything happens for the trial, you say, based off of this, you have enough facts and evidence to make a ruling right now. We don't need to have a full trial. The judge has the law, and based on the law and what we have shown you, you can decide. Right. True. So the judge can say, based off of everything I have, it's, overwhelming, the plaintiffs have won, or overwhelming, the defendants have a dismissal. That's kind of the equivalent of a motion for summary judgment on the defendant's side is going to be a dismissal. So what's happening here, it's not so much a bench trial because we're not taking testimony. The big thing is we're not taking testimony. We're not seeing exhibits coming in. We're not doing cross-examination, any of those things. So you have to make sure that the confrontation bit that comes with any of your civil cases, which is not as much as in a criminal case, but is still important, that has been met. And it usually just means there's so much evidence that the whole case is just blown out of the water. And so the plaintiffs will say, can you rule? I like to remind everybody about the Engeron case, right? So the New York Letitia James lawsuit for hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. She had 7, I think it was. Was it 7? No, it was. Well, I can't remember. We'll just use the number 7. So we had 7 different counts, And she had said she wanted a motion for summary judgment, and he granted it on like 5 of them. So he granted the motion for summary judgment on 5, and then they did a bench trial for the last ones, if you'll remember. They were trying to figure out the intent element. So that's relatively common in a lot of cases where you have overwhelming evidence just in the record. It's just off of the record. So yeah, exactly right. Bruce Wayne's mother. Yes, why do a summary judgment rather than a trial? Because you just don't need those witnesses. You don't need the experts. You don't need anything more. The judge doesn't need any more. There's really no question about whether or not the case is, the issue at hand is decided. So you just have to have an overwhelming amount of evidence where it would really just be a waste of everybody's time to pull in a trial jury. The proofs and the evidence. Yes, this is going to be when you've got documents cases and just cases where you clearly have a statute and what I like to call strict liability cases. Like it doesn't matter what your intent is. If you did it, you did it. If you didn't, you didn't. In those kinds of situations, you're going to have that motion for summary judgment. Who determines that summary judgment can be done? The judge. The judge. So if you're a plaintiff, no matter, it's usually, all right, how do I put this? Let me back up. If you're a plaintiff, you want to have a motion for summary judgment on file because that's just part of your job. Even if there's not enough evidence, and even if there's not a clear path to a decision that favors your client as a plaintiff, you still are going to want to file that motion for summary judgment as long as it's in good faith. As long as you're like, well, maybe. I mean, if there's a slight chance, then you go and file it. You don't want it to be frivolous, but that's kind of part of what you do as the plaintiff's attorney. Just like a motion to dismiss if you're defense counsel, you're going to want to get that on file as well. Not only that, but there are some appeals, post-trial appeals, that rely on you having a motion for summary judgment already on file. I'm getting into the weeds, everybody. I apologize. Not to confuse the laws and facts with the alternative facts. Quite right. Exactly. Say exactly right, Heather. It saves time and money, and that's what's most important. Our judges are busy, and especially our federal judges right now, and our Department of Justice is busy, with all of this stuff instead of, other stuff. So the spaghetti against the wall. Exactly. You still have to have a, good faith argument and follow your ethics. So sometimes it's not good. But what we're going to see is we're going to see motions for summary judgments starting to come down. So all of these cases, everyone, are going to start falling very similar to dominoes. All right. The first thing is the complaint. The next is the answer. The next is discovery pieces after preliminary injunctions and temporary restraining orders. Then we've got discovery pieces, then we've got hearings and blah, 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 blah. They'll all start to fall in the same kind of way because they're all civil suits against the federal government. So they're all going to kind of have the same, essence to them. So for this one, again, the reason I bring it up is because we've got a motion for a summary judgment on file. So the plaintiffs are saying, look, this is the law, this is the facts, make a decision, we're done. And so that's going on right now. It's looking like a response to that is due April 18th, and a hearing's going to be set up as well. There's a briefing schedule as well going on this one. So we have the first one is very well organized. Another thing too is we're going to see how organized these judges are, how they like to run their show. Next, we have New Mexico versus Musk. This is consolidated with a whole bunch of other cases. They're trying to get expedited discovery, which means, and that's going to be a big thing for the DOGE cases, they're trying to get discovery from DOGE. Like, what exactly are you? What do you do? How do you get information? Who's in charge? Where'd you get your authority from? What exactly is your job description? All of those things that would normally be on a federal agency's website, we don't have any of that information for DOGE because they're all like cloak and dagger. And it's not because they're trying to be, Sherlock Holmes. It's because they just don't know what the H they're doing. So they just kind of are flying by the seat of their pants. And the courts are like, well, you got to tell us what kind of pants you're wearing. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I cracked myself up. So you can't just do that with a court. The court's going to want info on that. So expedited discovery means let's hurry up and get some discovery going. The court will decide whether it needs to be rushed or not. Next, we have the DOGE 1 through 26 v. Versus Musk. We've got a preliminary injunction that's been granted there. That was kind of a big case too that came down. New York v. Trump. We have another invasion of privacy situation. We've got a motion for a reconsideration that's in play. We do have a preliminary injunction and a motion to dissolve the preliminary injunctions also on the floor as well. Briefs are being filed right now. Next, we have Center for Taxpayer Rights versus the IRS. There's like almost no movement on here. This lawsuit's about DOGE's access to IRS tax information, and we don't have any movement. We're still waiting on appearances, the attorneys in here. We don't have any restraining orders or preliminary injunctions that are in play either. So, Emperor with no pants. He's pantless. True story. Oh my gosh. All right, next. American Federation of Teachers versus Besant. This is where we've got preliminary injunction. It was extended to the 24th, and I believe it's still in play. I've not seen an order pulling that preliminary injunction. But again, this is access to teachers' records here. Over here, this is a huge one, Public Citizens versus OMB. They are asking for expedited briefing. They're basically saying, can we hurry this along? This is probably one of the best ones, one of the most interesting ones from a legal standpoint, because what they're saying here is that the creation of DOGE itself violates the Federal Advisory Committee Act. So the actual creation of this DOGE violates federal statutes. And this really needs to be decided before any of these other cases can really get into it. So money out of there. Well, right. These DOJ attorneys that are left, my gosh. Yeah, it's a tough gig. It's a rough and a tough gig, everybody, being a DOJ attorney right now. Although I don't have much sympathy. All right, then we've got Nemeth Greenleaf versus OPM. There's almost nothing going on here. We have a restraining order in place, and this is, again, just an access question. American Federation of Government Employees versus OPM. Partial discovery has been ordered. A motion to dismiss, so that's the government's filing that. Motion to dismiss has been filed but not ordered yet. And then a protective order is in place, and that was stipulated too. So, you know, that's pretty good. That's pretty normal. Electronic Privacy Information Center versus OPM. We have a temporary restraining order that was converted into a preliminary injunction, which is happening in a lot of these cases where the judges feel the restraining order is appropriate, because some of these cases it's not appropriate. But when it is appropriate, then they go in, do a full hearing on a preliminary injunction. And many times the judges are just rolling that restraining order into an injunction. Remember, though, when we have a preliminary injunction, that's not a permanent injunction, it's preliminary. And so we keep going through court, through the process to see what's been okay and what's not okay. It's a hard not. Oh, it certainly is. It certainly is, yes. Next, we have U.S. Institute of Peace versus DOGE. We've got a scheduling order set. Summary judgments due by April 4th. So at the end of the week, the plaintiff's summary judgment is due. We kind of talked about that already. The amended complaint was filed on the 24th, so they did follow with that requirement. National Treasury Union versus VOUT. Here, this is classified information. Restraining order is still in place as of the 22nd of March. I'm wondering, they may roll that into a preliminary injunction, this particular case, because there's not been a lot of movement on either side. Can international institutions file suits as well? Yes, as long as they've got standing, yes, anyone internationally can file as well. If they have been harmed, if they've suffered an injury, along with the law, if they follow the elements, yep. even this alone is going to take years to, well, yeah, I would say years to reverse, but also everybody. And I would remind you that if you're wanting to look for a silver lining, which you don't have to, but if you're wanting to, there are some questions that we're getting firmed up. There are some things in our law that are, loopholey, and this is an opportunity to really close those loopholes. So it's not all bad. I'm not saying if I'm for or against what's going on here because every case has a different issue. But what I will say is some of these things that are kind of like, nah, I'm not sure which way this is supposed to go will be hopefully firmed up through these court cases. So that's what I'm telling myself every day. And eating a lot of pepperoni. That's like the 1-2 punch, all right? Coming in, oh yeah. And yeah, they all need fruit baskets. Oh my gosh, they really do. They really do. All right, next category here. Oh my gosh, civil rights, DEIA rights. We have the elimination here of our diversity stuff because we wouldn't want to have that. Here are the lawsuits. We've got Doctors for America, and we've got information that's been removed from websites. We do have filings for a preliminary injunction there. Status reports due, and then a hearing is going to be on the 18th of April, it looks like. But all the filings are due on the 14th there. Next, we have the National Urban League versus Trump. Preliminary injunction was granted after a hearing, and this is just a straight up ban, the DEIA ban. And here we've got Doe versus the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. We've got questions about discovery going on here. And so, yeah, anytime you've got, hold on, you can't see my hand. Sorry. There we go. Anytime you've got Director of National Intelligence involved, it's like, wow, that's too bad. So we've got some issues going on here with the banning of those initiatives, and anyone actually using those initiatives can have trouble coming at them. All right, here we go. Next, we have the San Francisco AIDS Foundation v. Trump. This is a newer suit. This was filed on the 20th. Again, regarding the terminating of those programs. Chicago Women in Trades versus Trump. It looks like we've got a temporary restraining order that was filed. This is also a New York case. Again, having to do with that ban. We haven't heard a response from the respondents yet. So the government's not even filed a response and answer yet. Here we have the National Association of Diversity. This was filed on the 21st. We do have a preliminary injunction that was granted. Motions to vacate have been filed, not answered yet. And we do have a scheduling order set to go on that. If any of the terminology that I'm using doesn't make sense, everybody, just let me know. I'm basically talking to you the same way I talk to my paralegals. So if I'm not giving you enough, just let me know. Next, we have our transgender civil right violations here. We really haven't had a lot of movement on any of these cases, honestly. We've got protective orders in place. Each one's got a different issue going on. This is passport information. We have a protective order on this one. Let's make sure I've got, is this healthcare? No, inmates here. Transgender women in sports. We've got hearings set for this week, the Mennonite Church one. We've got another transgender inmate case. And by the way, the transgender inmate cases, this has been going on for a while. This isn't just under Mr. Trump. So let me be clear about that too. We've been having transgender inmate issues for a while here. This needs to get sorted out for sure. Although I'm not sure it needs to get sorted out by this Supreme Court because that may not work out well for anybody. But nevertheless, then we've got transgender athletes here is the issue. And then this one, Another one on the inmates. So we've got 3 regarding inmates, and then Ireland is another military service one. That one was just filed too a couple weeks ago. And then this is the big one here. This is a ban on gender affirming care. And I think we just had a state lawsuit where they took that to court, and the court says you can't ban it at the state level, but we don't know about the federal level. And then there's one more over here. Hold on here, everybody. And then one more is in our Rockstar cases, and this is the other right here, military transgender discrimination case. All right. Oh, I know. It's people just don't understand DEI. It's, you know, if you actually would look at the cases since the beginning of, quote, affirmative action, you would see how the Supreme Court is like, we're not talking about quotas here. We're not talking about merit issues. Of course, the most qualified person is the person for the job. Like, none of that stuff is even legal to consider. Like, you have to follow the law. They really don't get it. They really don't get it. Trading in their cars. Yes. I never thought about it before, but then after this weekend, I was like, well, that's interesting. It's because, right. Yeah, I mean, Kristen, we're in such a better place than we were. Absolutely. But we're sliding back. We are slowly sliding back. So, you know, you try to get as much gains as you can because there will be some backsliding. All right, next up, everybody, federal employees. This is where we have had some movement in our Court of Appeals situation. National Treasury Union versus Trump, again, career employees. We're just getting notices done on that one. Storch versus Hagseth. This is the Inspector General terminations. If you remember, those Inspector General terminations actually started us down this road of closet docketing. This was the first one when they just canned them. They just fired them. We do have our preliminary injunction hearing here. I don't have an order yet out. We've got public employees for environmental responsibility. They had just amended the complaint, so not a lot of movement there. National Treasury Employee Union here. The restraining order was denied. So we've got appearances, we've got summonses going, but it's just the judge is like, well, we don't have the exigency involved where a restraining order would be appropriate. By the way, a restraining order, I should set out the test for a restraining order too. I've got a preliminary injunction, but I need to do the restraining order. Okay. Government Accountability Project here. We're still gathering appearances and Pro Hoc Vice filings. American Federation of Government, AFL-CIO versus EZEL. This is that fork in the road program where they were telling federal employees, if you quit now, or if you put in your resignation now, you know, you could get paid for blah, blah, blah. So this is like their incentive program. No restraining order needed here. No preliminary injunction needed. So we're just kind of waiting for it to go through the regular process. Involves USDA cuts. Oh my gosh, those are huge. Huge. Yeah. Yeah, those cuts are going to be, those cuts are going to be felt. Those are some deep cuts with the FDA for sure. All right, next up, we've got LeBlanc v. U.S. This is Privacy, Civil Liberties. A motion for summary judgment hearing is on April 30th, right? And again, we talked about that. Motion for summary judgment and a motion for dismissal are those things that we're going to see, you know, coming up, falling like our dominoes here on a lot of these cases. All right, AFL-CIO versus Trump. This is, again, terminations that were improper. Here, appearances and notices, ad hoc, pro hoc vices are being involved. Ad hoc, that's different. That's a different term. All right, John Jane Does, 1 through 9. We have is this the FBI? Yeah, so the DOJ is trying to review who the FBI agents were that were involved in the January 6th investigations because they're, going to try to go after them, right? So this was filed again with these 9 people. Right now we've got partial expedited discovery that's been ordered. That's the biggest update for that one. Grundman v. Trump here. This was filed in February, termination of the Federal Labor Relations Act member. This isn't the board, this is the act member. This one's not really hit the news. We haven't heard much about it. Preliminary injunction was granted, although I have a feeling that that may be rescinded very soon based off of the Court of Appeals decisions that came out Friday night. So you may see this one actually rescinded. We'll have to see. Yeah, I mean, they're doing their jobs, right? So ultimately, they've got qualified immunity because they're doing their jobs. But then again, you look and see, well, the judges are just doing their jobs too, right? And the attorneys are just doing their jobs. But you can still make their lives miserable, as you drag them through the process, which is like terrible. Grumble, grumble, terrible. All right, next up, Slaughter v. Trump. These are the FTC fired employees. This is brand new. This came out on the 27th, so just a couple days ago, where we had a whole group of employees out of the Federal Trade Commission who were terminated. So that's been filed. Again, it's only 3 days old, so all we have is a complaint and some notices on file. Pueblo of Isleta versus Secretary of the Interior. This one, we've got 3 tribal nations, and they are suing because of the staff reductions in the Bureau of Indian Affairs. We don't have any movement on this yet. Again, we've got notices going, but and that one's on the line again, because every single department is dealing with, pineapple upset here. Through lives again. Oh no, we don't do propaganda here. We should build guillotines in Capitol Hill. I think guillotines are the most humane way of having capital punishment, in my humble opinion. But then what does that say about us having capital punishment, right? I mean, right? Right. Obama, Clinton, Harris are smart, well-connected. But yeah, well, I don't know. I don't think anyone's going to save us. We don't really... The French did it, why can't we? Well, because it's not the 1700s, right? I mean, we're more educated. Like in the 1700s, you brushed your teeth with, your own urine. Like we don't do that anymore. Like what are we talking about? All right, moving on, everybody. I got a little snap to me these days. Department of Education cases, and a couple of these are brand new. So I've not really taken a lot of time yet to read through them, and I'm excited about it. It's on my to-read list. We've got Democratic Attorney Generals. Sorry, Kaya, but it's a true story. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we make bad choices. It doesn't mean we want to keep making bad choices. Hashtag capital punishment. All right. I crack myself up. Okay, here we go. So we've got New York, Maine, Hawaii, California, Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut. This is not the song. Delaware, DC, Illinois, Maryland. Did I say Maine already? Massachusetts, Missouri, Minnesota, New York, New Jersey, Oregon, Rhode Island, Vermont, Washington, and did I already say Wisconsin? And Wisconsin. All right, so our Democratic attorney generals, which, by the way, they have a whole website going on here. I think they might be on TikTok, of the Dem AGs that are going after the administration. It's very interesting. Anyway, so they filed because of the dismantling of the Department of Education. Next, Carter versus Department of Education here. This is a council of parents. They're unable to do what the council's for because of what's going on with the dismantling here. Yeah, I mean, that may be what needs to happen, upgrade. I mean, that may very well, that may need to happen. What does it mean when an appeals court opinion is not published on an appeals case? Why would it be unpublished? That's very unusual for a district court of appeals. So if you've got a circuit court of appeals decision that's not published, that would be really weird. I don't know why that would happen unless there was some kind of question, some kind of security question. But even if there was a security question, it would just be redacted as opposed to not being fully published. When you get to your Supreme Courts, you can have some published versus not published cases, and that has to do with which cases are written out in the reporters and which ones are put in slip opinions and so on. But for a court of appeals, that's very weird. That is very very weird. What do you think about him going for a third term? I think, talk to me next year. I mean, it's like, good night, Kristen. Always wonderful to see you. Yeah, I think if he's gonna want to kind of shake that around, I think it's because he's trying to move your attention to something else at this point. I would say, come to me next year and we'll talk about it. NAACP versus DOE. This one was just filed again. And I put NAACP, but it's like the NAACP is from like 20 different places from around the United States here. Next, Somerville Public Schools versus Trump. Again, this is the dismantling. This one was just filed a few days ago as well. So next, now this is another big one here. The law firms. Oh my gosh, everybody. This is like really, really, I've yet to hear an attorney come in and be like, yeah, I think it was great that they settled it. I've not heard a single attorney say that. And I, have listened. So we've got Perkins Cole, which has this amazing opinion that came out from the judge on, I think it was Friday, when they had filed a motion to recuse. And she had said, well, this is offensive. Great decision. So if you want a really inspirational opinion, pull that one up for the Perkins law firm. Jenner and Block, they filed on the 28th, so just a couple days ago. Again, that's because of an executive order naming them. Wilmer Cutler here. Again, there was, and I thought this was interesting, it's the only lawsuit actually suing the executive office. That's who they've listed as the defendant, not the executive administration, not Trump, not, whatever. It's the executive office itself. So I'm wondering if there's something interesting in there. We'll find out. This law firm, again, had an executive order, and there is a restraining order right now that's in play. So 3 now versus 2. We've had 2 law firms that have paid the money, right? So paid the hush money, or for the, what is it? Remember in those mafia movies where you had to pay like your protection money every week or whatever? That's what those law firms did. They've paid their protection money. So they're good to go. And they've lost a heck of a lot of respect. So I don't know what the fallout's going to be from that. Now we've got some FOIA requests here. That's the Freedom of Information Act. I mean, right. Does it matter? Does it matter what the Democrat Party's approval rating is? I'm curious. Oh, bye. Yeah, the protection fee. That's what I'm talking about. That's basically what it is, right? So they're like, if you pay us money, then we won't come after you. But if you don't, you're going to get beat up. Your firm's going to get beat up. So it's, yeah. All right, here we go. We've got what's important here for the FOIA request? They're asking for information, and it's who is asking for it. So we have American Oversight versus DOGE. So DOGE is being asked for information. We have Center for Biodiversity is asking OMB for information. CREW, so that's the ethics, is asking DOGE for information. So we got 2 for DOGE. Then we have Democracy Forward Foundation versus the U.S. Marshal Service. Yeah, we talked about that one. Democracy Forward Foundation versus OMB here. And then National Security Counselors versus DOJ. Yikes. That one's kind of like I'm not sure about that. I would think that is racketeering, Carrie. That does sound like racketeering because it is racketeering. And that's what it is. That's exactly what's going on. But as with everything in the courts, it's going to take forever for any of that to make its way through the courts. So it just takes a while. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. It just takes a while for us to get all of it put into place. And if you read the complaints by the law firms that are going full on, they're not playing around. I mean, they're being pretty open about it and saying, you know, this isn't right, and this is what we're dealing with here. They think it will protect them and save their firm finances. People don't want to be represented by a firm that won't even stand up. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And we don't know who all of the clients are for these firms. But you know, the thing about attorneys is that we fight. Like, we go to school and learn how to fight. That's, you know, our job is to be adversaries to each other. And it's not very adversarial to just, you know, pay the man, pay the man what he wants and he'll leave you alone. Like, I mean, yeah. Refused to take up Musk's $1 million payout case. Yeah, I saw that too. I saw that. That's interesting. Interesting twist. All right, so we have one case that's requesting sanctions. This is Jane Doe's v. OPM. They're basically still smacking each other around. So, all right, that's the technical term. They're smacking each other around. We have plenty of responses now. So we've got motions for sanctions that the plaintiffs brought against the government. We do have a reply finally saying we didn't do anything, you guys are jerks. And then we have an immediate filing for a motion to dismiss by the government claiming wrong jurisdiction. Then we have replies, surreplies being debated. And then we've got motion for supplemental authority by the plaintiffs. So the plaintiffs are asking for more legal authority and from the briefs that they're getting. And the defendant is saying, we also want supplemental authority. So like everything the plaintiffs do, the government's like doing the same thing. Like they're just like, well, we want to dismiss. No, you want to dismiss. We want to dismiss. And it's just going back and forth on sanctions. This is ugly. This is what we call an ugly case. Right here. We're waiting on a hearing date right now. Once the hearing date gets set, that's going to be fascinating. I may need to watch that. It's available. Yeah, it's still open for services right now. I mean, if you think about it, pretty much all of our federal agencies are just, I mean, tangled up in all of this crap. So, you know, they weren't efficient before, and they're certainly not efficient now, having to figure out what all this stuff means. You know, it's like a new boss coming in and taking over and having absolutely no idea what they're doing. And so all the employees are like, half of us just got laid off and we've got all these new directives. Like we were barely able to do what we needed to do before. And so we're even in a worse spot. So keep that in mind when we're dealing with Social Security or Department of Education, all of that stuff. It's just completely tangled up. Because, and this is why you don't take it all out at one time. This is why you have to stagger these kinds of things. In my opinion, which no one asked for, but in my opinion, if they really wanted to make appropriate legal lawful changes that would last, they would pick an agency a month. I mean, 1 month, let's do this agency and then see how it goes. Next month, we'll do this agency, you know, or even skip a month, like a couple months at a time, like stagger this stuff out rather than hitting it all at once, because the administration can't handle it either. The people doing this can't handle the level of flood that they are doing either. So it's a problem. It's definitely a problem. All right, next. Here we go. American Oversight versus Hegseth. So this is the Signal case. Anybody hear about that? This is oh my gosh. Wednesdays we wear pink. Oh my goodness gracious. We don't have much fight. There's not a lot of fight going on. Well, that's what I'm saying, Bruce Wayne's mother. That's exactly what I'm saying, right? All right, so here's the Signal case. This case is about retaining records. Like, I'll tell you what, if there's one thing our federal government does, it preserves records. And I think that's why they were so pissed about Trump in Florida. I mean, one reason, one of many. But we preserve our records here. And so now we have this restraining order right now with language in it saying anything that was discussed between these few days, every single piece of it needs to be preserved. That's the restraining order that's in place right now. So we'll see if that happens. Fingers crossed. They lied under oath. Right. Well, and that was a big question too, because the journalists, gosh, these people, I tell you, oh my gosh, I tell you, if they had been organized and actually knew what they were doing, I think we would be in trouble. But because they're dumb and they don't know what they're doing, we're really not. I mean, we're gonna get to the other side. But the problem here is that this journalist has like integrity. He didn't want to show all of them, and his hand was forced, and then he did, but carefully. So yeah, exactly, Sarah. That's exactly right. All right, so next up over here, walking around here, here we go. We have frozen funds. Again, this is one of the biggest issues are these federal funds that Congress has allocated to different places and the executive branch won't do it. So Congress made the budget, but the executive branch won't write the checks. But meanwhile, they don't get to not write the checks. This is what's going to break everything because when the money's involved, now some stuff happens. So we had a preliminary injunction that was ordered. Defendants appealed to the First Circuit. So here's our first appeal flag, and it's just saying we're in the First Circuit here. Next, Maryland versus the Department of Agriculture. We had a mass termination of probationary employees. This is really weird, actually, because this is we've got preliminary injunction, preliminary hearing, but this is kind of in a weird gray area where they said, they need to go back, but we're kind of in this weird place. And it's hard to keep up with it because we've had some courts say, they're not going to need to go back. And then this court's saying they need to go back. And then there's this hearing of which I don't have the full order ready. Not funny for him, but that was Trump's. Well, exactly right. Amount of inefficiency. Well, right. It's a good point, Mary. That's an excellent point. I mean, they're doing the opposite. Thank you. Tea time. They're doing the opposite of what they really wanted to do, right? Because it's costing them more to clean up all of their mistakes. I mean, the amount of money or the amount of work coming from the Department of Justice right now is like, how are they even dealing with like kidnapping cases or any of our other federal cases? So they're pulling all those resources away. So, all right, so this one's kind of questionable. State of Washington Birthright executive order. This one is a whole bunch of cases and this is appealed to the Ninth Circuit. This is one where they've asked the Supreme Court. Let me just show you here. I'll just take it with me. I was like, I'll just point to it. Nope, here we go. We're going on a field trip, everybody. Going on a field trip. This is one where they are asking the Supreme Court to overturn the stays. So with these birthright citizenship cases, here they're saying, we don't think the Ninth Circuit should speak for the entire United States, or we don't think that they use the proper law to rely on that. So that's part of what the Washington case is here. We'll have to figure out and wait and see if the Supreme Court will allow for that or not. They could just say we don't want to hear about it until the circuit's ruled or whatever, until the case goes further, but we'll have to see. They could have revamped the immigration process instead of all these. Well, right. I mean, right. Does Trump have to show up to any of these? No, these are all civil lawsuits where people are saying the federal government has harmed me. All right. So this is civil. We're not dealing with a criminal case where, someone's looking for jail or whatever. These are all cases where they're asking the court to make the government stop harming them. is basically what's happening, or to undo the harm that they've already done. All right. All right, so that was this case here. We've got Ninth Circuit Appeal. We've got this one, and then we've got, this is the transgender people in the military. This is actually a really incredibly well-written opinion here by the judge. The judge came in and said, well, this isn't right at all. The defendant, so the government's filed motions to dismiss. They're wanting Hegseth's policy to be clarified. That's the big thing here, is that, and this is just a stack of bad information, like the information that they sent to the military to try to get this, initiative through was so confusing and harmful, quite frankly. And I did a live on that last week. You can go under the lives tab and look through that. And I read through quite a bit of that paperwork, and it's just, oh, look at that. You can only see my thumb. Sorry, everybody. Only the most professional of skills here. Here's the case I was pointing to. Like, why is it just your thumb? But yeah, the Talbot case. And I went through and read through a lot of this paperwork and went through her decision, which was an amazing decision that she wrote here, which is, it's a very harmful, it's an incredibly harmful situation. So you can take a look at that if you are interested. Infinite amounts of money. Right. Exactly. I think so. Yeah, the big bullies, right? All right, next category. Wow, we're really working through these pretty quick here. And by quick, I'm not sure if it's quick, but it feels quick to me at least. So here are our habeas corpus, or bring forth the body, and the El Salvador case, which technically their government's saying it's a habeas case. The plaintiffs are not. I've mixed those together because they both have to do with due process violations and then First Amendment lawsuits. So we've got freedom of speech that go with the habeas corpus detentions. And then we have the freedom of the press lawsuit that's still going here. So we'll go through these. Let me move on here. The animus, yes, it was. For this one, oh, I'm sorry. For this one, this was the animus case. Yeah, absolutely. That was the one. So here we go. Associated Press. There's like nothing going on in this case right now. We're still waiting. There was a denial of a request for a restraining order. Other than that, we don't have any more information. And everybody, I'm confused. Was there a press brouhaha that just went down, like some kind of roast thing? I can't even remember what we call that, the press gathering where they get together with a comedian and they make fun of everybody, and there was some weird stuff going on. Yeah, these guys were guys and gals and pals. They were banned, but I was thinking about something happened. He booted everybody. Yeah, but I mean, I was talking about, like, isn't there a dinner going on? The dinner where Seth Meyers was like, oh, President Trump, wouldn't that be funny? Well, I can't remember what that was called. Oh, there was, and they decided no comedian. Oh my gosh. All right. Oh, the correspondent dinner. Thank you, Cynthia. Oh my gosh. I was just about ready to pass out. I was like, why can't I remember? The White House Correspondents' Dinner. Okay. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Right. All right. So that was kind of a weird situation. Something with Conan O'Brien. Oh my goodness. I'll have to look it up. My story would sound better if I had any information to share. Really, given the Mark Twain Award. Really, many comedians did wonderful. Okay. Oh, I love it. I'll have to look that up. Amber Ruffin. Oh, got canceled. Okay. I knew something had been going on. Yeah, SNL. Like that's an American Heroes right there. All right, so moving on from my random thought. Tail v. Trump. This is a First Amendment violation that's being put forward because of executive orders in the language that was used there. We have Chung v. Trump. All right, everybody, this is one of three huge, yep, here we go. Sorry. One of three huge red flags. I need like a producer or like an assistant in here to say like, you're not on the note. This case, they just, oh my gosh, we had a lawful permanent resident minding her own business, using her First Amendment rights of speech, pulled this woman off the street, and she is now in detention. No legal, no criminal actions here. No, I wish it was Atticus. Oh, I don't know. Atticus and we've had a falling out. So he's not allowed in here right now. we've had a falling out. He's just, I'll have to tell you, remind me, I'll tell you at the end of the show. Oh my gosh. All right, then, so number one. Number two is the Khalil v. Joyce case. ICE again has detained, we had a lawful permanent resident, shipped down to Louisiana. He should be back in New Jersey. So let me ask you this, everybody. I've had some concerns because I kept thinking like, why are we shipping people to Louisiana? And then my thought was, isn't Louisiana where Mike Johnson's from? So my question is, do we have kind of like a quid pro quo going on where Mike Johnson's like, hey, we've got a really, crappy prison that we can put people in. Why don't we ship them down there? I'm just curious. Is that possible? Do you think that's possible? Could be posing, could be. It's possible. Is the state? Yeah. Town halls explaining to people the difference between police and ICE. I think that's an incredibly important distinction. I don't envy law enforcement right now because of that very reason. Likely. Yeah, I'm just wondering. So, law enforcement, good or bad, however you feel about them, at the end of the day, I mean, they have a job to do. Hopefully they do their job lawfully, legally, and ethically. So this has got to be messing everything up for them. They don't want the people to be afraid. Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that. And, the ICE officers aren't helping themselves either. Again, they're just like running loose now. They've got the parents are out of town and they're throwing a party. The party of disappointment and rage and harm. A party of harm. The Popo. Yeah, well, of course. Any Southern facilities up. Absolutely. All right, so here's our second one. And then Ozturk v. Hyde. This one, she was from Turkey, I think. And this case, a lot of it's being sealed, so I can't really read the details. And this is another habeas case. And again, pulled off the street, put into detention. They're hoping they get their way. Watching Texas. Oh my gosh, I tell you. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's from Turkey. Okay, I was wondering. Because we don't have Turkey involved in these two, so I thought that was interesting. Surprised, right? Well, right. I mean, I don't know who's got the ear. Who's paying the most money gets the most press, I think. Most airtime with him. No guarantee to go before a judge. What's the incentive to not fight back against attainment? Well, I mean, we're walking a line. So far, we still have historically, evidence showing that you can still get through our court system appropriately most of the time. But once that changes, it's going to be chaos. We're going to have the anarchy situation. It's going to get bad if people are not allowed to have their day in court. That seems to be one of the things all judges can agree on is due process needs to be had. That's one of the reasons why they said Trump couldn't be taken off of the ballot in Colorado. They're like, well, you had a trial, but he wasn't there. Where's his due process? Like, what? What are we doing? So we need some due process going on. Next, we've got Espinoza Escalona versus Noam. We have another maybe this one. What's this one? Oh, this is Guantanamo. So we've got 10 people included in this case, and this is a Guantanamo case. So they're looking for a writ of habeas corpus to say, why are we in Guantanamo? And then, of course, the biggest case would be JGG v. Trump. This is also the class action case, the Venezuelan alleged members and the Alien Enemy Act case, which is ongoing. And we are slowly making our way through this. We are, oh my gosh, this judge, it seems like every move the government makes to try to keep information from the judge or not have to do just basic professional protocol, the judge is countering. So the judge is boxing them in really well. I would be surprised if we didn't see a contempt hearing setting up here. Winning what? 6-1 U.S. risking your further charges. Right. It's a mess. I mean, it's a mess for sure. Yeah. All right. So the JGG case should be a hot potato this week too. We got to kind of watch that. The timing on that has been huge. We had that big decision come down from the DC Court of Appeals stating in the JGG case that the restraining order situation was okay. So controversial, but nevertheless. All right, here we go, everyone. Now we're in the Court of Appeals. Hopefully the lighting is okay. And we haven't even got to the poster boards yet, everyone. Hang in there. Court of Appeals, we had two cases. This is the Harris v. Bessent case and Wilcox v. Trump. Two separate cases. This one had to do with a woman who was fired, and she was on a merit systems board, high position. And the court came out, the lower court said, wow, this woman's supposed to be here for several more years. What are you all doing? Put her back on the board. And then Wilcox, similar situation, National Labor Relations Board, again, put her back on the board. And they appealed to the DC Circuit. DC Circuit came back and said no. They took these women back off the boards. Can you believe it? I was just like, oh my gosh. This could be seen as definitely a win for Trump. These two women pull off the board. And, we had 3 judges. It's possible to appeal it to a what do you call, is it it's NUNC. No, I'm sorry, it's en banc. Forgive me. We can go in and ask for the full court to reassess the situation. Could be another one there, or it could be appealed again to the U.S. Supreme Court. Yeah, they can appeal it. Yeah. So the primary judge, so we had two judges for, 1 against. The primary judge for it basically just, I didn't even like his language, the language he used. He said, well, maybe the executive branch got a little bit overexcited about all these changes they wanted to make. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me with this? Really? I mean, you're destroying people's lives. But all right, they're just overexcited. And so that part of it was like, what are you talking about? But he takes his decision all the way back. He takes it all the way back to the late 1700s, trying to explain how the executive branch needs to have more power over federal boards and trying to support that. He claims the precedent cases say that the president has this authority. The judge that voted against it said, that's not how I read the cases. And then the second judge says, well, I don't know. I think it could go either way, but I'm in the middle. And so it was kind of like a very slim decision, which in my opinion, like, you take these people off the board and then you put them back, like, you're really screwing up the situation. Like, what's even happening? That's a terrible situation for everybody involved in this. So it's a lot. Uh-oh. Oh, I think we had a Klan person in here earlier. Making me long for... Yes, quite right. Quite right. But, you know, we don't have health care, so there's that. Anyway, we're keeping an eye on this to see if they're going to want to do a full appeal to the full court or where it's going to go next. This was disappointing, but it wasn't a huge win. It was a very slim win. And it has to do with how the court interpreted the precedent. So we'll have to see how that turns out. All right, and we're walking and we're walking. Now we're over. Oh my gosh, if there's a camera, if you could actually see what I'm doing here, you all would just laugh at me. Like climbing around stuff, and I've got clothes everywhere, trying to muffle the sound. That's all right, it's all right. Here we go. Right, oh yeah, we're okay. All right, immigration, everyone. We'll hit immigration, and then we'll be in the frozen federal funds. And that should take us then to the final cases. Now, with a lot of these cases on immigration, how I've set it up here, don't have a lot of movement going on. A few of them do, but there's not a lot. So we have OCA, Asian Pacific case going, birthright citizenship. We've got the answer due on April 5th. So we only have a complaint. We're waiting for this answer. So like there's nothing going on this one here. Tripped over a sock, busted my, no, oh my gosh, okay, oh my gosh. I hope you're okay. Yeah, it's amazing how those things that you don't even think about are the ones that can potentially be life-changing. New York Immigration Coalition here. Confidential, this case has been moved, so we can't really see a lot of it. Birthright executive order, there have been some filing errors on there. We're waiting on the summons. This one is under seal, so we don't have any information. So it's Lee v. Trump, the birthright executive order, again, under seal. New Hampshire, and Indonesia v. Trump, birthright executive order. We had an injunction granted here, but I think there's been some movement on that injunction. Just within the last few days, but I haven't updated my sticky notes, so I don't know. I'm sorry about that. I've got that one moment there where I'm like, what? On a bookshelf, oh my gosh. Once I saw, oh dear, I tell you what, my husband's grandmother accidentally bumped into something, similar situation. And she was a lovely older lady, so beautiful, very classy. So she goes into the doctor, and the doctor's like, well, yeah, it's broken. We can kind of tape it, but, you know, it's going to be painful, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, just cut it off. Seriously. She's like, just take the toe. So she's like, I've had the toe long enough. I don't want that kind of pain. Just cut it off. So they just cut the toe off. I know. I'm like, what? I suppose you get to a point where you're like, I don't care if I don't have a toe. Whatever. Oh my goodness. Yes. All right, back to it. Sorry, everyone. I was distracted. Here we go. U.S. Conference of Bishops versus the Department of State. This is a suspension of the refugee admission program. We've got an appeal here by the plaintiffs. So this is the only one where the plaintiffs have appealed. We had a preliminary injunction that was denied by the courts. So the plaintiffs are like, we are doing an interlocutory appeal. We want you to reconsider the denial here. So that's our only plaintiff one. And this will be interesting as far as the legal procedure goes, to see how this goes. CASA versus CASA Inc. and Make the Road, New York. We're still waiting. There's like nothing going on that one either. Denver Public Schools. We have a temporary restraining order hearing where we still don't have an order here. I mean, they're busy, but all right. And Doe Brazilian case. We have a preliminary injunction that was granted. Defendants have appealed. We are having problems getting the U.S. attorneys sorted out. So this is where we've got the DOJ showing that they are really running on a skeleton crew here, because they're struggling to get their people. The Department of Justice is struggling to get their people to courtrooms right now. They're filing all of this stuff for all of these cases. They don't have enough people there. They don't have enough people without any ethics, and they just can't get people into court in front of these judges. So they are absolutely struggling right now. And I think over the next couple weeks, it's going to get worse. As these cases continue to get more complicated, it's going to get worse for the Department of Justice. It's not sustainable, everybody. It's absolutely not sustainable for the DOJ to go down this road when we're talking about constitutional issues. All right, where was I? Here we go. Where was I? Like, apparently I'm casting a spell here. Ah. Struggle bus. Exactly. All right, so that's this one. We have Centro de Trabajadores Unidos Avibacent here, IRS for undocumented immigration enforcement case. We don't have any movement on that. This is the Refugee Immigration Center versus Nome. We don't have any new information on that. We do have a restraining order in place. Pasito versus Trump. It's looking like, again, this is another suspension of the refugee program. And they're trying to get status reports together right now. The government saying like, let's see, the government is not complying with the preliminary injunction, but then, so the plaintiffs are saying they're not complying with the injunction here, and then the defendants are saying that's not true, we are complying. So they were told on this preliminary injunction regarding the refugee program to keep it going. And apparently the plaintiffs are saying they're not. And then the government's like, yeah, so it's one of those, we might be looking at sanctions in this one too, actually. We might have 2 sanctions cases. Next, organized community against deportation. We have, this is the one where the plaintiffs withdrew the temporary restraining order because they said, too much damage has already been done. Restraining order is not going to help us. We want to put all of our resources into actually trying the case. So restraining orders off the table, all the resources are going. I mean, there are so many attorneys involved here, everybody. I mean, the Department of Justice only has a certain number of attorneys, but all of these other cases, I mean, the ACLU is like, hot potatoes right now. They've got a lot going on. Democracy, I think Democracy Forward has a lot going on. So it's a lot. There are a lot of attorneys. I would not want to see the nearby lunchroom. The closest restaurant to the courthouse, I would not want to see that right now because it's going to be filled with attorneys. All right, so we had, here's another Make the Road New York. So we had a couple, this is the second one here. Still getting attorneys in place. Franco Allman case. This is another element, Birthright executive order. This was put into let's move this over. We gotta put this into the Washington case here. So it's on appeal to the Ninth Circuit. There we go. Gotta keep everything tidy over here. Next, the County of Santa Clara versus Trump. We've got, this case is on pause. They want the Washington case and some of the other birthright citizenship cases decided, so they're paused. The Amicus Center for Immigrants versus the Department, versus the Department of Justice. Here, and the last thing that came out was the court reminding both sides of how the court wants their courtroom to run. So the order was like, you need to file it like this and like this, so don't be jerks. So yikes. That's another one where the court's just like not having it. We're not dealing with that stuff. Oh my gosh. Here we go. Las Americas Immigrant Advocacy Center versus U.S. Department of Homeland Security. We had our TRO denied here. Motion for summary judgment was denied here, and that's okay. And appearances are still being gathered. So we do actually have our first, I think this is our first motion for summary judgment that's been denied so far with our cases. So I'm gonna go over here. Limiting channels, just like, oh, well, I'm so glad you're here, Mike. We absolutely are. Absolutely. And it is overwhelming. It absolutely is. So that's why I like to, put 150 cases here and just point out them. Yikes, I'm not helping. I'm sorry. Next, we've got the National TPS Alliance. We have, let's see what's going on here. We have an emergency hearing that was done last week, but I don't have an order yet. There was a motion on the floor to shorten the time. They wanted to make it kind of go quicker because they're like, this is kind of a big deal. We need to move forward. I don't have an order, so I don't know what happened with that one. Perez Para versus Castro. This case, I'm not sure what's going on. We've got another Guantanamo case there. So that one, this particular one's kind of up in the air. It's got some questions. At this point, I'm waiting on an order because this is based off of a memo. So anyway, San Francisco v. Trump here. Sanctuary City, we're still gathering attorneys. On this one, Las Americas v. Noam. This is our other Guantanamo case. We have 3 Guantanamo cases going. Next, here we go, everyone. This is the final, getting down to the final road here. Philadelphia yearly meeting of friends versus DHS. This is the Quaker case where they're saying your enforcement of coming into our meetings is a violation. So our privacy information, all of that's violation. We're waiting on that. There's not been a lot of movement on this case, but this is the big Quaker case. So that's kind of one to watch. Okay. Yeah, we've got there's a couple of questions going on. And I mean, I don't want to say, especially everybody, that cases when we're dealing with transgendered inmates, especially, we had problems with that in the previous administration too. So it is ongoing. But it's hard to not really notice it when there are 9 transgender civil rights cases. And this is, part of that. All right. And then Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights. And this has to do with violation of the Immigration Act under the Administrative Procedure Act. So this was just filed here on the 24th, not very long ago. All right, here we go, everyone. This is the final row. Oh, my goodness gracious. All right. Is everyone still here? Are you still with me? Are we making it? I don't know. I don't know if we're making it or not, but we're going to try. All right, here we go. It's the final countdown, exactly. All right, let me see here. I got it. Okay, here we go. Let's move this down a little bit. There we go. Here we go. Okay. Oh, my goodness gracious. All right, good thing I'm doing those yogas, man. I'm doing the yogas. Right. Filing lawsuits. Oh my gosh. I know. It's so much. It's ridiculous. It's so much. Okay. Love it. Love it. Here we go. Frozen funds. Shapiro v. Interior. This was one of the first ones here. Thanks for all your work. You're welcome, John. I think we still are, we're fighting. We're still fighting the good fight here. So we had frozen funds going on here. This is Pennsylvania. Let me double check here. Are we in Pennsylvania? Let's see. Yeah, we're in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania frozen funds. Next, Mayor of City of Baltimore. Preliminary injunction was denied. Still waiting on funds here. Climate United Fund versus Citibank. This is where the National Clean Investment Fund was supposed to be giving them money, and they're not. Again, Association of American Universities versus DHS. We did have an injunction granted on March 5th. We'll see if they follow through. American Association of University Professors and American Federation of Teachers versus US DOJ. We have federal funds that were supposed to be given, as well as an abuse of power complaint. And this was just filed a few days ago. So this is one of our newer cases here. National Council of Nonprofit versus OMB. We've got a motion to clarify from the plaintiffs And, that's happening a few times because these cases are, first times this is being done. So we don't have a lot of, boilerplate language. We're really, creating this whole situation because we don't have anything to base it off of. Preliminary injunction was granted. Right now we're waiting for defendants or the government's answer. Commonwealth of Massachusetts versus NIH. This is one of our fundings with science involved, and they're claiming that the funding cut was arbitrary and capricious, which isn't allowed under the federal code. So we've got a preliminary injunction granted. Whether or not that's being followed, we'll find out. Right now, we've got motions to intervene on the table for our Metropolitan Transportation Authority. So we're waiting on that. 20% across the board. Yeah, I just don't even know anymore. I just don't. We're battening down the hatches here. It's like no cars, no nothing. So nobody needs anything here. We'll just create it out of cardboard. California Infrastructure and Economic Development Bank versus Citibank. This was on the 19th, so this wasn't too long ago. We've got some more frozen funds here. Association of American Medical Colleges down here. Again, man, I tell you, this research money that has been pulled is just heartbreaking. Preliminary injunction granted. City of New York versus Trump. We have another preliminary injunction granted. Butterby Farm versus U.S. Department of Agriculture. We've got money that is supposed to be going to the Coalition of Farmers from the Inflation Reduction Act, and they're refusing to release those funds. Next, Woonasquatucket River Watershed Council here. And again, same thing. We've got people who were supposed to be getting money from the Inflation Reduction Act, and they're not. So they also had the Infrastructure Act and the Jobs Act that was supposed to have money coming to them, and they're refusing to give them that money. And so now they're like, dudes, we need our money. Okay, here we go. Oh, we're back. Sorry, everybody. We're back up again. Whew. All right, here we go. We're going around this side now. Oh, my goodness gracious, everybody. I'm going to have to do more of the yogas. If you can laugh at yourself, that's really what's most important here. All right. That's what I tell myself. All right, here we go. We've got solutions in hometown Connecticut. This is immigration communities. Federal funding's missing. We don't have an order yet on I don't have an order that I've added to the sticky on the restraining order. The Sustainability Institute versus Trump here. There we go. We'll just do this. Here we are. Frozen funds as well. This is that Inflation Reduction Act money that they're supposed to be getting, that they're not getting. All right. The next one, Radio Free Europe. This was a big one in the Project 2025, actually, the communications. We do have a hearing that occurred last week. We're still waiting on the order for a temporary restraining order. And then over here we go. We're upside down, everybody. Hold on a second. I'm trying to read. Okay, there we go. Just checking. Oh my gosh. All right. We're in Alaska. This is Northern Alaska Environment Center here. We're just waiting on that. That was just filed also, so we don't have appearances completed yet. Open Technology Funds versus Lake. Again, another set of frozen federal funds, just filed a few days ago. All right, here we go. I'm going to move this up. Whew. There we go. I'm going to need to dust in here, everyone. I think it's a little dusty for me. Here we go. I even laughed through my... Well, you have to. You have to. Well, hello, Pamela. Hello. Good to see you. All right, here we go, everyone. This is our final category, and then we hit SCOTUS. So we have our revocations, rescissions, suspensions, dismantling. Northeast Organic Farming here versus U.S. Department of Agriculture. This is where climate change information's been removed from websites. So, yikes. Personal services contractor. Dismantling of U.S. aid. Here's another one for dismantling of U.S. aid here. Global Health Council. Where's the other U.S. aid one? Let me see. I think that's, oh, wait, here it is. American Oversight versus U.S. aid, and this has to do with actually destroying records. National Treasury Union here, dismantling of the Consumer Protection Bureau. This one's kind of on ice right now. Abramowitz versus Lake. Voice of America dismantling. Oops, you can't see that. Sorry, everybody. Voice of America dismantling. And actually, we just got, I think on Friday, another order just came out, and I've not added it yet. So this is another one. And then, can you tell? Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that. I'm in America, and I'm trying to travel in America, and I don't know what's going on either. AVL v. Morocco here, Inter-American Foundation. President removed, and it's the dismantling of the IAF here. So that Inter-American Foundation dismantling. And Crystal Human Rights versus Morocco, dismantling of the Inter-American Foundation. So we've got two of those going. One that was filed on the 17th and one that was filed on the 21st. Okay, everybody, that was the last of the categories. Here we go. Here is the last one we have. This is the last piece, just the U.S. Supreme Court decisions. So those were the last of the lawsuits. Again, 151 filed. The Dillinger case has been withdrawn. This is the AIDS case. So this is the AIDS vaccine case. They were supposed to have a hearing going on here, but this is kind of a big deal. We've got outstanding balances in this particular case, and this is where the court was like, we're tired of all of this kind of, rubbish. You need to follow court orders. And then again, these are our birthright citizenship cases here. Nationwide injunction they're upset about. This one, state of New Jersey again. And then this is the multiple states case here. So we've got Washington, Arizona, Illinois, and Oregon on that one. Yeah, skip the trip this year. I know, it's weird. We got stuff going on over here, man. It's not good stuff. Yeah, it's not good stuff. All right, and then this is the last one. This is a pretty big one. We've got the American Federation termination of probationary employees, and this one is the big one heading up to SCOTUS. So that will be a big decision as well. That's an appeal out of the Ninth Circuit. Whew. Okay, everybody. That's it. That's it for the closet docket. Man, it just is so much. There's so many cases here. It's a lot. It's a lot of cases. I would say probably the worst cases are, of course, our habeas cases, where people are being detained without any due process or for any reason that's appropriate. Biggest growing category, frozen funds is the biggest one. The one that's calmed down has been the DOGE cases. Those have calmed down, but the habeas cases have grown quite a bit. And we're getting more appeals coming in. I know. I love the Post-its. You got to have that, right? You got to have the Post-its. That's important. That's just how my brain works. So I have to do what my brain wants me to do. All right. Well, do we have questions? This is usually the time at the end of the class when I ask if anyone has questions on any of the material I've gone over tonight, class. Oh my gosh. Because there was a lot. There's a lot of content here. There's a lot. And you can, of course, review this live if you can't get to sleep, which, is probably something happening quite a bit for a lot of people. So there's that. Thank you so much for doing this. I got to go. Take care, Alice. Take care. Yeah. Been incredibly helpful. Okay, great. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Yeah. So we'll be back to do again. So it's Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday that I will be in the evenings, and I will try to do a couple of noon times as well. This week, we'll see how that works out. We'll see how that goes for everybody. So I will be back again, and you know, we're adding cases every day, so there'll probably be a few more in there. Well, you are very welcome. You're very welcome, everybody. I appreciate you all coming by and hanging out with me. Again, sorry about missing you earlier this week, but hopefully we could get the material in tonight. Oh, the reminder, the Atticus reminder. Okay. Here's the deal. Here's the deal, everybody. So I've got a little Atticus story for you. So Atticus and we're not on very good terms at the moment because anytime I get up out of my bed in the middle of the night, of which I do a lot, then anytime I would get up, he moves to my spot on the bed. And so when I come back in to lie down, I have to pick him up and move him. He usually gets thrown somewhere, and he doesn't like it very much. And so last night, I think it was maybe 3 or 4 times that I came back and he was in my spot, and I'm like, dude, I gotta move you. And so last night I just moved him a little bit, and couldn't figure out what was happening because my hair was like hurting. I'm like, what's happening to my hair? Wow. And for me, pain, you just never know. You never know what's going on. It could just be like, well, this will pass. But I looked over, he was ripping my hair out of my head. He had both paws in my hair, wrapped all of my hair around his little paws and was trying to eat it. And so I don't know, it was like 3:30 in the morning. And I was like, listen, Atticus, this isn't something that's okay. And so I kicked him out, and he just sat at the door, pawing at the door all night. So I know. So oh my gosh. Yeah. So he had to go out. And so then we weren't talking. He gave me kind of like the stink eye today. Oh my gosh. And the other people in my house are like, Atticus seems mad at you. I'm like, that's right. We had a falling out, and it involved my hair. And my hair won. Oh my goodness. So we'll see what happens. He'll get a chance tonight, but yeah, exactly. I've never seen him like get his paws like tangled in my hair. I mean, I have a lot of hair. And like I couldn't untangle his paws. Like it's 3:30 in the morning. Like where's my I was pulling. And then my hair was going with his paws. I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. So there were words exchanged. And my husband's like, need some help. And I'm like, there's nothing going on here. So just go back to sleep. There's nothing to see. I think you're right, Kaya. I think he was also trying to untangle. I mean, he looked kind of worried. But I don't know. Like that's my line. That's my hard line is like, don't be messing with my hair. Oh my gosh. So yeah, there's that. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, so we're not talking right now. We're just, we're having some space. We need to kind of think about our life choices for a while. I know, it's a tough life, right? I know. I couldn't even. Oh my goodness gracious. So yes. So that was our situation. I'm glad you reminded me because I felt I needed to share that with everybody. Oh my gosh. Yes. So, and I can see his tail under the door. Like he keeps sitting by the door. Oh, he did. He took it too far. That's exactly right. He just took it a step too far. I'm like, it's one thing to just sit in my spot, and then I have to move you every time. But then when I move you, and then you attack my hair, we're gonna have problems. Oh my gosh, now that I'm saying it out loud, it doesn't sound quite right. But at the time, I was like, this is it. This is the hill I'm gonna die on. This is gonna be me saving my hair from my cat. Oh my goodness gracious. Anyway, all right, everyone. Well, that's my story. Oh, my gosh. Oh, just thinking about it makes me laugh. Makes me laugh. But with that, I will go ahead and sign off, everyone. Oh my gosh. Oh, it is absolutely an adventure for sure, for sure. I know. Oh my goodness. Goodness, goodness. I better go and we should have a talk before tonight, before bedtime. But have a wonderful night, everybody. Thank you all for coming and hanging out with me. You know, it's not that exciting to go through the closet docket, but you know, it's information, it's informative, and it really kind of shows us, you know, what's going on. So with that, I will sign off. I'll see you all Tuesday night for sure, and maybe over the noon hour tomorrow or Wednesday. So have a great night, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you again all very soon.